All right. Being that I don't think any amount of makeup is going to make me look any better, we're just going to roll with this. Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about the AI topic. Now, I do plan on having other people on the channel to further talk about this particular issue, especially some people that are in LA who have been on strike, who've been involved. There's a couple actors that I am... Oh, things are freezing up. Don't know what's going on. Oh, I do know what's going on. I'm downloading a whole bunch of footage. But I would like to get some people who have been ground zero on this particular issue, and but I just haven't gotten them on the, haven't been able to contact them yet, because again, they're very busy. They're also LA talent. So LA talent are like, that's a completely different league. They're, it's way more of a grind. I was going to say way much more of a grind. That doesn't make any sense. It's very early. I got up early. Hopefully so I can get this done and not have to be, to the wee hours of the morning. But my computer is having some weird issues, and sometimes the footage is freezing up on me. It's happened a couple times in the past, so it's probably about time that I take this and get it looked at. Oh my God. I am doing a lot of projects, so I am not surprised that this thing is starting to like, come on, give me a break. Anyway. So I want to talk a little bit more on the AI, but not so much on the voiceover side. This time I think I covered it pretty thoroughly, or at least to the point that I particularly can. On the AI voice side, check out the video, which will be probably in the description, if I remember to put it, on the video that I did not that long ago. I do want to add a little bit to that, because I know there's been some people, one person in particular, who, kind of mock the idea of like, oh, well, as long as like, as far as like the Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi situation, it's like, oh, well, as long as, people are getting paid, yeah, it's totally fine if, companies like clone people's voices. So again, they were given permission by the talent. If the particular talent gives permission, and again, it wasn't that they just had a computer like completely, do the performance. They still had another actor and had to hire another actor to do the performance that they then added the Vader voice on top of, and then paid the original voice actor. They paid James Earl Jones. So all parties were credited, had permission of, and got paid. That's the thing that we're actually arguing about and fighting over right now. That's the whole thing. There's some companies, some studios that don't want to pay people, that want to just use AI instead of talent. And they don't want to, use talent pretty much at all, or they don't want to pay the talent. They just basically, once they 3D scan you or get your voice, they can do whatever they want and then not credit you and not pay you. That's the issue. That's the thing we're fighting. That's the particular problem. As far as the Vader thing, that was an example of them actually doing close to the right thing. I would have rather have them just got a different voice actor, and it actually would have been better and cheaper for Disney to have gotten one, voice actor to just do the whole thing. But instead, they wanted a little bit more of a nostalgic experience, so they went the long route and ended up paying even more in order to accomplish the thing that they wanted. But also, Disney has a history, or not Disney, but Star Wars has a history of not crediting the original guy in the suit, and then still having James Earl Jones voice over it and giving James Earl Jones the entire credit for Vader. So this time, in this particular situation with the Obi-Wan show, they actually credited Aiden Christensen and anyone who was in the Vader suit, as well as James Earl Jones. So again, many steps in the right direction. We need to make note of steps that are put in the right direction, rather than just getting mad when it's not 100% what we want. We need to let people know this is what we're wanting, this is close to what we're wanting, keep going in that direction. Anyway, having said all that, I want to actually talk about AI as far as writing, as far as text, and AI as far as images as well. Not so much on the video, because it's not really that big of a deal right now. It's really creepy and it's really weird. Maybe I'll touch it a little bit. I don't want to touch it at all, but as far as AI writing, that's not going to be going away. In fact, none of this is going to be going away. AI text, AI writing, we're talking things like ChatGPT, that kind of thing. So we've always had some level of AI writing. Autocorrect on our phones, spell check, that's AI writing. It's always been there. The only difference is now we're kind of removing a kind of barrier, this kind of stepping, there's like, okay, you can only go up to this point. That's as far as we'll let you go. And now we're kind of like removing that, and AI is kind of going a lot further. Yes, that is the problem, and that is a problem. But there's always been some level of this that's existed in the background for a very long time. And this isn't new. It's just that we've allowed it to go much further than we were letting it before. And the real problem in the industry as far as writing, and I've actually seen this on LinkedIn job postings, is where the lead writer will actually be ChatGPT. And the job that's actually posted is for a human to go in and make adjustments and corrections, meaning they're not actually hiring a lead human writer. The lead writer is ChatGPT, and then the human is to go in and basically be a secretary and kind of clean it up and fix it up, as opposed to the other way around, where there's a lead writer and they're using AI to kind of clean and reformat stuff. That's how it used to be. That's how it should be. That's the issue with AI text, AI writing. I've actually been kind of dabbling with pretty much all of these fields to try to get an understanding as far as what we're up against and how can I combat this. I've been messing with ChatGPT a little bit to kind of understand what it can do and what it can't do, and kind of understand its limitations and understand how much of a threat it is. Because, again, I need to understand how much of a serious threat. And so there's been a few things where I've been experimenting with it, and I have found some limitations, and it has kind of relaxed me a little bit. So again, just like how AI can't do the performance as far as voiceover, character voice actors were not really in danger. AI cannot do the nuance. AI cannot do a crazy amount of personality. It can't go crazy. It has to be within a very comfortable zone. And if it delivers a line, it's going to deliver the line the exact same way over and over and over again, the exact same way. It can't really, outside of performance being, or any kind of interference from humans, it can't really change any of that. So that is kind of the kind of comfort. Now, yes, it is getting dangerously close. As if at any point in time AI has developed actual intelligence and actual emotions, then yes, it will be able to do all that kind of stuff. And then we get into like sentience and psychology and stuff like that, into robotics, and that's when things get really tricky. But for right now, that's its limitation. When it comes to AI writing, what I've noticed is that AI writing cannot do, again, emotions in the writing. So if you've read any of the stuff that I've written, like The Black Dress, or the first chapter of my next book, which is actually free to read, which is called The Gray Wolf, it's a project that it's going to be a much bigger book, and it's one that I have to kind of like release slowly just because I don't have a lot of time to do the entire book all at once. It can't really do that kind of writing. So my writing is very emotional. It's very emotion driven. You can feel the context. Oh, froze again. I think we're fine. You can feel the context of the characters and kind of it's setting a mood. So I basically, as a test, fed it some rough drafts of stories that I was writing. And I threw it in there and I said, write the next chapter to see what it could do. And it didn't get close. It did not get close. It basically took something that was supposed to be very emotional and very depressing, and it wrote it to basically be a team building exercise. So I fed it another story. And it was a horror, and I wanted it to be a deep horror. And I said, okay, here is the prompts. Here's the first bit of it, so it kind of understands the setting, kind of understands the character, and I threw it that. And it did not do horror. And again, it had a happy ending. And it was basically like and she learned that the true horror was the things that she hadn't dealt with in her heart. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I fed it some other things, and it basically gave me the exact same result over and over and over again. There's a couple good things to this. Number one, that AI isn't dark and is actually motivating, which is good, at least as of right now, because if that was to be given a body, hopefully that would mean that it's not going to just kill us all. Hopefully it'd be like, hey, let's all get together. Let's motivate each other and let's build a good community. That's my positive way of thinking. But also the other thing that I learned is that it can't branch out and it can't do its own thing. It can't write its own, emotions. It can't put emotions into the scene. It can't write context into, what's going on. So if you've read The Black Dress, which very few people have, but also the audiobook is free on YouTube, on here. You can listen to it for free. If you listen to it, every single scene, even when a character is not talking, you can tell what someone is supposed to be feeling. AI can't do that. It can't do feelings. It doesn't understand them. So it has to basically just go off pre-existing prompts. So as of right now, that is its strong limitation. That is where we are better. Now, it did do some really good jobs as far as like making the dialogue believable. But the problem is the dialogue was all the same. It's all the same. Because think about it this way. So it's taking all this information from a whole bunch of different places, and it's kind of putting it into one box for it to pull from, kind of one database. Well, if you mix all these different colors together, you're just going to get gray. Very different shades of gray. No matter what colors you throw in the box, if it's a whole bunch, if it's all of them, you're going to get gray. And that's kind of what I'm getting from AI writing. Now, could I see it being used as kind of a, and this is kind of what I think it's going to be used as going forward. It's not going away again. I think it's going to be kind of as a concept or a gap filler for AI, doing a lot of the legwork as far as the kind of like to pump out a rough draft. And I feel like that is what a lot of people in the industry are kind of wanting. Now, major studios, we've already seen a lot of terrible stuff being put in theaters that are just not written well. And if you, like, for example, if you were to tell me that Black Adam was basically written by ChatGPT, I would believe it because it's nonsense. And major studios are not getting away from that kind of like cookie cutter nonsense writing. And so I imagine that is probably going to be going forwards. That is probably going to be kind of what they lean with. As of right now, it's not able to write anything original. If a studio does try using ChatGPT or any variation of it to be the main writing source for their stories, those companies will go under because the stories will be terrible. It's for the same reason that Star Wars has taken a nosedive, Marvel has taken a nosedive, the DCEU is having to be rebooted, the CW took a nosedive. It's basically a lot of the same mistakes can also be made by humans. If they're basically writing based on a formula, if they're not actually hiring good writers and hiring bad writers, you're going to get the exact same thing. And it's kind of taking a nosedive. And I think studios will probably not be going with ChatGPT. At least not in the future. They may be trying to tinker with it now because they're trying to save money because they have been making terrible decisions. So they're probably going to be like, where can we cut corners? Writers, which is why we have the writer's strike, which I believe that they will be successful. And I do support them. But in the future, the lesson needs to be learned. If there's going to be a bright future in Hollywood, the lesson needs to be learned that it doesn't matter who writes it. It needs to be written well. And ChatGPT can't write well, period. Even if you were to give it different prompts, it's going to be writing the same garbage, at least as of right now. However, you can hire better writers. You can get better writers. There are tons of people that write better. Stop hiring basically interns to basically just pump out your formula. Because a lot of Hollywood studios have this formula. They basically have a checklist. You have to have this. It needs to be this long. You need to have these kind of arcs. These are the kind of tension and drama and blah, 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 blah. They have a formula. They'll basically hand out this kind of big document that's like, you have to have these. This is basically how you have to write. That needs to go away. And it's not the ChatGPT problem, it's the formula problem. It's the thinking that there is this kind of tried and true method. No, you need to let people push envelopes. You need to let people write emotion. You need to let people write without shackles. If they write let them write crazy and then reel them back in if you have to. But let them write crazy. Let them go, try new things that they haven't written before. That's what you need to do. ChatGPT can't do that at all, or any variation of it, at least not right now. So that's kind of where it is. I don't know if there's a bright future on that end. That one is a little bit, mostly just because a lot of people, and not just major studios, but a lot of people really don't put that much time and energy into the writing. In fact, I've been involved with a lot of projects on set that the writing has been basically very, very little as far as like any energy and attention and love and care put into it. And it really upsets me because I'm a writer. But these were all written by people. They weren't, one of them might have been deeply influenced by ChatGPT. And we basically berated him about it. That's a different story though. And it's more the fact that people just generally don't actually consider writing to be that important. As a society, we don't think that writing is that important. We don't think that reading and books and scripts, we think that the magic, the true magic, the real innovation comes afterwards when you're actually putting the project together, and that's not the case. And so it's not so much the apps, it's not so much the software, and it's not so much the AI problem. It's the fact that people don't respect writing. People don't see it as being super important. Like the CW, one of the whole reasons that CW basically crashed was the fact that they thought that they could just chuck out a whole bunch of really lame, poorly written scripts that were just basically check marks, basically just checklists, and that the name brand and having recognizable faces or recognizable actors in it would be enough. And that's not the case. You have to push the envelope. You have to have good writing. Now, if you were to compare, like, let's say, Batwoman to The Boys, those are very different. Very few people actually have any idea what the comic The Boys is all about. I've never read it. I don't know anyone who's ever read it. But I know tons of people that love the show. And that's because they had a very clear vision. They had key writers who are basically the showrunners who had a very clear vision of what they wanted. They knew from beginning to end, from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, and they knew kind of the arc that they were going. And now here's the thing. Both of these shows are based on comic books. Both of these shows are basically based off pre-existing characters and pre-existing IP. Both of them are kind of these dark universes. Batwoman is kind of a dark universe. It's in Gotham City. And, you know, The Boys is a very dark take, is a very satirical, cynical take on the superhero genre in general. But one of them is more successful than the other. And it's because one has really good writing. Really, really good writing. And they didn't, you know, cut corners on it. The CW, even though they had, or at least to my knowledge, actual human writers, they cut corners on the writing. They didn't care so much. They kind of were doing paint by the numbers, and they weren't pushing any envelopes. They didn't have a clear vision. They were just trying to shuck out episodes and hoping that the fandom that is somehow connected to Batman and the DC, you know, comic book universe would just be drawn in just based on recognizable names alone. And that's not the case. You have to have good writing. Even a show like The Boys that is not as recognizable, it has good writing, and it has a lot of like actors that we've never heard of. Other than like, you know, Butcher. Other than him and a few other recognizable faces here and there, it's got a lot of no-names that we knew nothing about. Same thing with Batwoman. A lot of no-names with every now and then a recognizable face. But one's doing better because it had better writing. We just don't respect writing. And that's kind of the whole reason that the writer's strike is going on. And so I don't really think that it's so much the AI part of it. Excuse my stomach. Haven't eaten yet. Again, it's early, you know, it's early. It's really the fact that we don't respect writing. We don't understand writing. Again, you can look at things like not Daredevil, Black Adam, and see that the writing was kind of all over the place, and it's kind of garbage. It's also one of the reasons that you see a lot of DC and a lot of Marvel and a lot of, Disney in general do a lot of rewrites and a lot of reshoots, is because the script was not solid from the beginning. And that's the real issue, is that writing is an art and it needs to be respected the same as acting. It's very important. And as someone who has been doing a lot of writing and who cares a lot about the stuff that I write, it's very important. I read a lot of scripts that are not well written. And sometimes you can make it better with the performance, but a lot of the times you can't without completely changing it. I did one not that long ago that I very much did not agree with the script. And I tried to make it better through performance. And I tried to kind of like do a little bit of improv to make it better. But on the shoot day, he wanted to keep it very close to script, and it did not feel right. The character's motivation was inconsistent from the beginning of the dialogue to his last line. The scene did not make sense. It was kind of all over the place. And it all came down to the script. So that's kind of the realization that I have. And I'm not afraid of AI writing, mostly just because the thing that's most important is, the art. And that's something that the AI will never be able to do. The thing that I am afraid of is the industry and major studios not respecting writing. Like, you take ChatGPT out, you take out AI writing completely, you're still going to have these problems. And you're still not going to have writers being respected. And you're still not going to have, and if they're not respected, they're not paid well. The writers are not paid well. And since they're not respecting writing, they're not paying them well, they're only hiring the cheapest writers because they don't think it's important. They think that recognizability, name brand, fandom, these are the things that make money, and it's not true. It's writing. You have to start with a really good blueprint to your film, and that requires writing, or your book, or what have you. So that's kind of my realization on the writing aspect. Since I went long on this, I'm going to go ahead and cut it and then cover like the image stuff and kind of the video, probably in another video. But that's kind of the AI writing side. Now, yes, of course, this is more of a voiceover channel now, but I have covered writing many times in the past, and I am a writer, and it is also very important to you guys. So I think that's totally fine. But again, if anyone has any objections or any problems with the stuff that I've written, or stuff that I've written, actually, if you have any problems with the stuff that I've written, go ahead and leave a comment. But if you disagree with something that I've said in the video, go ahead and leave that down in the comment section below. Not to say that I won't have a rebuttal or I won't add clarification, but if you have a problem, that's fine, as long as you are detailed with your what issue that you have. Otherwise, no one's going to learn anything. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Totally fine. Subscribe if you're new, bell for notifications, and leave down in the comment section below like to see me cover any other topics, no matter what they are. I reserve the right to choose whether or not I'll do the video, but you can still leave it down in the comment section. No one's going to stop you. It's going to be it. And until next time, peace.